Hi, I'm Hannie, and I'm a PhD researcher at the University of Leeds.
Hi, I'm Lisa Dickinson. I'm an artist and teacher based in Leeds as well. Together, myself and Hannie have made a toolkit for sculpture learning with Yorkshire Sculpture International. And we are going to just talk you through what we've made and how it works. So hopefully you can get on board and give it a try.
So the idea with this learning resource is that students and pupils are encouraged to think about the way that they use language and vocabulary when they're creating art and when they're looking at art in galleries or out and about as well. So our resource starts off with this list called Do Describe. The first part that you can see on the screen now is a list of verbs that we've put together of things that we think are the kind of activities and movements and thinking processes that you might do when encountering art and making art.
On these pages as well, you'll see we've left gaps, and it looks like it's almost been drawn onto, and we want to encourage you to work with all the pages in the toolkit where you see the little pen icon to write on it, scribble on it, highlight words that you found useful, etc. So it's an interactive toolkit.
We also have these little stop signs throughout the resource to encourage you to go back to the word list, add things when you're talking with other people, or writing things down when you think of a word that is interesting or helpful to think through your processes, to add it to the list or to find it on the list and highlight it.
After the word list, it goes straight into some tasks. Each task is based around the idea of making and experiencing sculptural work, whether it's in your house or in a public space or even in a gallery space. And again, you can see there are spaces for you to work directly into the toolkit, and also some of the tasks require you to do some making away from the toolkit.
We've designed these tasks so that if you're in a gallery space, you can work through them by choosing sculptures or pieces of art in the art space. But if you're working from home, you can also go to your local park and think about the kind of statues and sculptures you might encounter there. Or if you're in the classroom or at home, thinking about the objects around you and how we can imagine those objects as being something that you can turn into an artwork.
Some of the tasks are conversation based or written language based. So like Hannie said, we do encourage you to keep going back to the vocabulary list, and the idea is that that language at the start provides a framework for discussion in the classroom or in a gallery space or just between families working through the toolkit. And we do encourage that conversation of asking if you don't understand a certain word, and engaging with language that you might not necessarily usually use on a regular day-to-day basis, whether you're at school or just at home.
Throughout the toolkit, we have these little buttons that say sculpture ? At points where the tasks are encouraging you to have a discussion and sort of encouraging you to think about what is sculpture. Do we find sculpture in the world around us? Do we only find it in art spaces, or do we also find it in our homes and in our kind of day-to-day worlds? To just encourage pupils to expand their understanding of what art is and where we can find it, and to just discuss with each other and kind of have debates about these kind of big and interesting ideas around sculpture and public art.
There are 15 tasks in total throughout the toolkit. Each of them can be approached as a separate task, or you could work through it from start to finish. You could pick from the middle and work towards the end. So it's really up to you how you interpret the tasks. You don't have to attempt them all. We've kind of included loads of different starting points and ideas that could be just a 10-minute activity, or you could even expand on them and make it a full lesson if you're in a school environment, or it could form, you know, quite a long discussion. There's a lot of starting points within each of the tasks that could be expanded upon, and also with the word lists you could expand on each of the categories in terms of senses and use those to inform what you were doing in a gallery or at home or in school as well. You'll see myself and Hannie have tried out a couple of the tasks where there's a little photograph. So we've had a go at doing them, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we did.
We've designed this resource so that it's possible for you to just download it from the YSI website and print it out as a kind of booklet and hand it to your students. You might also just decide to download one of the tasks separately, or a handful of them for kind of smaller activities. And we would also encourage you to kind of project it onto a screen where you can work together as a class or in smaller groups and kind of scribble on it on the board together. So there are kind of lots of different ways that you can interpret the tasks and the toolkit as a whole. But yeah, we encourage you to find different ways to scribble all over it, draw on it, take it around with you when you're on trips to art spaces, and sort of work into it and turn it into a personal kind of logbook of what you've been up to.
Yeah, hopefully we've created a resource that is approachable. We wanted it to be really accessible, hence why we gave it that handmade sort of scribbled on feel, because we know that sometimes especially this topic of language, it can be quite intimidating. So hopefully we've made something that's fun and engages you with the topic of language and discussion, but in a more approachable way. And we've kind of covered all sorts of angles of the creative process, so from thinking about it to coming up with ideas, making, and then also we've got elements of curation and thinking about putting an exhibition together. So we've tried to incorporate as many different experiences as possible, so the toolkit's really broad and varied.
Yeah, we imagine that this resource will be appropriate for Key Stage 4 onwards. So you might want to interpret it in different contexts, and perhaps with older pupils, allow them to use the whole toolkit, and perhaps with the younger students, kind of give them one task to work through with a long period of time. You can download the resource from the YSI website. There you'll find the PDF version, which can be printed out easily. There's also a PowerPoint version if you want to put it up on the screen in the classroom or over a Zoom lesson as well. And we've also got separate images of each of the pages and tasks. So if you want to just download one separately and send it out to your class, or to kind of print it out just as one, you can do that as well. We hope you enjoy using the toolkit, and yeah, thank you for listening.